Welcome to EO Talks, Eastern Oregon's very own talk show, only here on EO Alive.
Hey, Eastern Oregon, this is Brent, and I'm here with you today for our MAT program update. And today we're going to be talking about talking with mentors that are a part of the MAT program. And let me introduce you to Brooke and Lisa. Hey, you guys are here. I'm glad you are. Thank you for joining me.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah. So again, for those people that might be jumping in today, might not know for sure, MAT is the Medication Assisted Treatment Program that is put on by CHD to help with folks that are addicted to opioids or heroin, and the variety of things that covers. And you guys, your role is to be coaches, essentially, to encourage them. And so why don't we talk about, Brooke, let's start with you. Kind of tell me how did you get involved in this?
I am in recovery. I have a little over 5 years clean. So when the opportunity arose to be able to walk alongside people in their journey of getting, into recovery and building their lives back, and being able to see their successes and celebrate with them. When I came across that, I had to jump on it. And I was lucky that CHD welcomed me.
That's awesome. And Lisa, tell me how you got involved.
Well, I too have a little over 5 years clean, and addiction has been a struggle through a large majority of my life, and I ended up actually losing my brother 6 years ago today to his active addiction. And so things were a little treacherous after that. But when I kind of got my act together, I really started wanting to be able to help people. When my brother passed, these peer spots were not something that was widely utilized, especially over in our, kind of rural neck of the woods. And they weren't around when I was getting clean either. And I get the ability to be able to help people kind of through those initial obstacles and barriers. And, it really makes me strive to be able to be someone that's there, especially because of the stigma that's involved with addiction.
So for some people who might not, they might not have been addicted to drugs or medication in the past, or they might not know. Can you kind of help humanize this a little bit? How, typically, and whether you guys want to share from your own experience or share someone else's, how do people find themselves in this predicament? I don't know, talk about that for a minute. And whoever would like to go first.
I'm gonna go for it, Lisa.
So the thing about addiction is that it doesn't care how old you are, what color you are, what economical background that you come from. It crosses all lines of humanity. And, there are some people, science is still kind of going to, is it the chicken or the egg in the addiction situation? But there's a lot of factors that add up to it. And a lot of that has to do with, just maladaptive behaviors, past, habits and hangups, things like that kind of contribute to this, tangled spider web that creates the perfect storm. So it's, it starts out as something innocent, some kind of do for fun, kids at, parties. It's a situation that ends up presenting itself in one form or another. And whatever the case may be, it ends up becoming a bondage that is definitely very hard to break. So.
How about you, Brooke?
Hitting on my background, I started with going and getting pain medication. I had a lot of back problems. And looking back, I'd never really realized that I was actually addicted. But I started abusing them and turned to other things. And it really just, it grabs a hold of you. And like Lisa said, it doesn't care who you are. It doesn't care when you've had enough. It doesn't care that you've lost everything. And, it just doesn't care. And being able to finally be at your stopping point and seeing light again is something that I want everybody to know that will happen, and they can do it.
And thank you so much for both of you for sharing, and because I appreciate that. And Brooke, it wasn't really until I started we started talking about this through EO Live that I really recognized that there was a gateway through pain medication, recovering from a surgery or something like that. It totally makes sense. And, when I think back on my mom has passed now, but I think back on some of my family members who have, really experienced pain over a long period of time. I wondered if some of the things that they might have been experiencing, multiple complications in their health, certainly could have been a part of being addicted to a medication that they didn't even know they were addicted to. So, yeah. So, and you mentioned I think it was you, I'm sorry, one of you mentioned how that it's complex because it's a secret. There's shame associated around this. And there's shame associated around most addictions. Everybody kind of wants to hide their faults or hides whatever's going on. And so, what was the thing that helped you guys set that aside, take the risk of being embarrassed in order to deal with whatever complication was going on?
Well, Brent, like for my circumstance, me hiding behind addiction was no longer an option. I had become, kind of stuck in this perpetual hamster wheel of the criminal justice system. I was in and out of county jail. I ended up doing about 24 months of incarceration, and so my cover was blown. There was no hiding it. And what I have found through my personal journey is that me standing up and saying, hey, this is what happened, this is what went on, and this is what I've done to change it, I have actually been able to, it's been very freeing for me. I am not ashamed of my past anymore. It was a treacherous and it was a long road. And it still is, on a fairly frequent basis. But what is really awesome about the ability to have this position, and with my experience, is that I can sit with people and say, it doesn't matter what happens. The world can judge you all that you want, but I won't. And, we can get to a point where that stigma no longer weighs a person down, where people can actually, say, I'm an addict and this is what I'm doing, and not have to hide behind the shame. And the more and more people that are able to do that, especially with support and, cheerleaders behind them, the more and more other people, follow in line. And we are doing an amazing job at breaking the stigma. And that is with more and more people reaching out and saying, hey, this is the reality of life in our society today. And we can't hide from it anymore. We need to tackle it head on and start the healing process. So
that's awesome. Lisa, how about you, Brooke? Was there what was the point where it's like, okay, I need some help, and it doesn't matter if I'm embarrassed or not. Was there a particular something that kind of helped you get over that?
My family. I didn't want to admit my problem for a long time. I was lucky to have family that stepped in and cared for my children when I unfortunately couldn't. And I just got tired. I got tired of not being the mom and the daughter and the granddaughter and the sister that I knew that I could be, because I've been it almost my whole life. I just got tired of being broken, and reaching out and realizing that I wasn't alone, and that there is a whole community that knows exactly where I've been and does not judge me one bit for it, and that I can be myself and I can show my struggles, and they're cheering me on through my successes, and I can, share my deepest, darkest secrets, because they know where I've been, really helped. And I wasn't able to hide my addiction as well as I thought I did for a long time. So I refuse to do the same for my recovery. I will recover out loud, and I will be proud of where I'm at and what I've accomplished.
Man, thanks so much, ladies, for sharing. That's just so powerful. And what a powerful tool it is, your stories. How cool it is that now this pain and struggle that you have gone through is something that you can use to help others, So that's just awesome. So talk to me about maybe an experience that you've had. Let's back up just a little bit. So, because I try and, as we've gone through this, I try and relate this to the person who makes the call for the first time. And, and what do they, and this is the number that they call, and so who do they reach? What's the process that happens? So the question I have for you guys is at what point do you guys get involved with someone's journey along the way? Brooke, why don't you take that first?
So if they call 541-562-HOPE, they will get a hold of Jamie, and she will be able to set them up and walk them through the first pieces. And then she will reach out to Lisa and I and let us know that somebody is looking for services, and we will make contact and kind of share our roles, introduce ourselves, let them know that if they are struggling, if they need a ride anywhere, if they, just need to talk, if they need a shoulder to cry on, if they, whatever the need, that they can reach out to us, and then we will just continue to stand beside them through the whole thing.
And Lisa, tell me about maybe an experience that you've had with that. Can you recall generically? Can you talk about I don't know what it was like for the first time that you realized that you talked with somebody and, hey, I'm in a place where I can help them. Do you have a story like that or something that you can think about?
Well, the thing with addicts is they more often than not don't necessarily want help. They want freedom from their consequences, and they want to be able to keep doing what it is that they're doing without any repercussions. What's really cool about my job and Brooke's job too is that we get to, we reach out to these people. There was, an individual where, we got to sit and have this conversation, and let them know that, I am not, I'm not the person that overshadows you and watches what it is that you are doing at every move. That's not my role. My role is to be supportive and be a cheerleader and kind of help, troubleshoot and things like that. I'm not there to get them in trouble. We are there to be able to see them through the process, from beginning to wherever it is that they believe that their end is, so it's, some people come broken and ready to change. Some people are here by, forceful hand of either family or law enforcement. And it doesn't matter what way they come to us. They are treated the same at every given obstacle. We are here for you no matter what brought you to our doorstep.
So then that kind of leads to the question, what does, and I think you kind of answered that, what keeps them in the fire? Because it's painful. I mean, it's when you're going through and when you're recovering in one way or another, it's difficult. It is, you're doing something that is not comfortable. You're not taking the path of least resistance. And so what keeps them in the fire? What keeps them in the process?
We get to share our experience, our strength, show them our hope, let them know and just reassure them that they are not alone. And there are people that have done it and they can do it too. We, reach out constantly to make sure that, if they happen to have a weak moment, that they know that somebody is there. We'll support them in outside support groups. Just try to surround them and make them feel supported no matter what.
So the reason they stay in the program is because they're miserable enough on the path that they've been on, and they're wanting to change. They're wanting, and I'm sure you probably, I'm sure you probably see people that that they're not ready. They're kind of like skating along. They're not miserable enough. They're, whatever it might be. And you probably see people like that. And do they come back? Kind of what's your experience when you see folks kind of make the full cycle? It's like, okay, they're finally, I can see now that I think they're really ready to make some progress.
You want to take it, Lisa?
So the unfortunate fact of the matter is that a lot of people don't come to us ready. They're just not, and recovery is a very difficult process. What I've found though, that living in active addiction is really, really hard. It is not an easy thing to do. It's extremely difficult to live in life of active addiction, and not that recovery life is easy by any means, but recovery has given me the tools to be able to be successful in this. And so when people come fresh out of active addiction, they don't have any tools, they don't have any coping skills, they don't have any of that. And we try to get them to the point where they can learn those skills and acknowledge them, but unfortunately, there are a lot of people that go back more times than they come back in. And that's an amazing part about this job is it doesn't matter how many times they step away or, relapse or anything like that. It's that the door here is always open to come back to. There is always a phone that will be answered. There is always a friendly face and a smile to welcome people back when they do decide to give it another shot. Because unfortunately, with the issues that we're having today with the opiate crisis, there's a lot of people who don't get the opportunity to make it back. And so we want people to know that no matter what happens, our door is always open. I will always answer my phone and I will always have a smile for you. Just come back. We don't care how many times you leave.
Awesome. So what are some of the things that you guys help with that people might not think of? I mean, I'm sure there's some mechanical things like, I mean, you mentioned giving them a ride and helping them. I don't know. Maybe what are some of the routine things that you find yourself helping people as you're coaching them towards a better way?
We do give rides a lot. That's one of the major things. We help get people to residential treatment if that's something that they need. Detox. We take them to the store. We're just kind of their shadow as much as they'll allow us to be. And, we can be there to talk after they have, a rough session with a counselor, or, if they have something going on with their children, we can help with that. We can help line them out with the community resources that they need to take the next step.
This sounds like a cool job, frankly.
It is.
I mean, yeah. I mean, you're in this role where you can be compassionate to folks. Lisa, what are some of the things that you find yourself helping people with?
One of the things that I find the most beneficial is that because we do what we do, we kind of have these inside niches of community resources that are available, from whether that be, food boxes to housing to clothing. There's these options for people that not a lot of people know about. And, we work on this collaborative team where, someone kind of finds this little back alley, clothing place, and we share it with everybody. Our whole team is kind of integrated in that stuff. So the amount of resources that we are aware of, we can share that information. And, there's just a lot of things that people don't think about that are, tiny town does have some really cool availability. I wish we had more, but don't we all? And so being able to guide them through this process and say, hey, let's try this, let's try this, let's try this, ultimately the choice is up to them. But one of the hardest things about getting clean is not knowing what direction to go. The individuals who come in at this time, they often don't have a car. They haven't had stable housing. They haven't had a job. There's, these little things that they don't realize they need done. And, we can start adding little check boxes for them. Say, hey, has this been done? Has this been done? And if it hasn't, we can guide them on where to go to get it done. So it's kind of neat. We're kind of little inside investigators on that.
So you guys have this thing called a motivational interview. And what is that? And what purpose does it fulfill, and what it is that you guys are doing? So motivational interviewing, it's a communication style that it's a communication style. So just as I was saying a minute ago, we can't do this for someone. I can share my experience, strength, and hope. I can be a role model. I can point in a direction, but ultimately the choice is up to the individual, whether they're going to make the change or not. Oftentimes individuals don't know that they even want to change, or if there's a need for change, or even how they go about starting to change. So with motivational interviewing, we get to talk to people so that they can find their own motivation. Basically, they get to come up to the conclusions that they need and desire for themselves. Because my recovery doesn't look like Brooks's, and Brooks's doesn't look like mine, and mine doesn't look anything,
like 100 other people that I know in the recovery community. Recovery is very individualized. So getting people to understand what their successful recovery comes back is kind of where this motivational interviewing is let's, okay, where do we get to where we need to get on your terms? And so it's a great communication process to be able to help them find their own answers.
You have anything you want to add to that, Brooke?
No, she covered it that good. That's her good. She's good at that part.
So it kind of sounds like it's helping people be empowered to solve their own problems in one way or another. You're not taking on their responsibility to figure out, you're encouraging them, you're helping them, you're relating to them with some of the things that helped you get clean and how in your experience. But at the end of the day, and it's funny, I was just talking to a friend about this morning, however we feel, whatever that might be, or whatever we do, it's up to us. I mean, it's our responsibility. If you're going to be a happy person, then, there's something in you that's a part of you. It's your responsibility, and if there are things around you that are making you unhappy, and you can put your finger on them and that's something you can change, then that's, we don't have the ability. I don't have the ability, if you're unhappy with yourself or unhappy with whatever's going on in your life, that I can give you enough external things that you're going to be happy. Eventually all those things wear away. And I would, is that same thing with recovery is that at some point they have to take responsibility for their own recovery. They have to be the one that drives the bus.
Yes.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. Well, can you think of a time, and again, sterilize the story in such a way to where you're not betraying anyone's confidence, but can you think of a time when, and maybe this is in your own life, when you were in your recovery, you didn't know if you were going to make it. This is a little bit about, I'm trying to lose weight and work out more and so on and stuff. And I'm still at that point where I'm not sure I'm going to make it, and make it in the sense of, I'm not sure I'm going to succeed at this goal that I'm trying to do. Can you think of a time in someone's recovery or your own where there was a moment of and the scale tipped just a little bit and it was like, they're going to make it, or I'm going to make it. Lisa, why don't you start first? Can you think of anything like that, an experience that you've had?
For myself, it was alone, it was a dark, lonely night, and I was in a tiny little enclosed space that I could not leave under my own accord. And I remember talking to my daughter on the phone, and her response to me was, "Have you forgot about me, Mama?" And that moment in time has resonated with me for so long that, all I did was think about my daughter. That's all I thought about, but my actions did not reflect what was going on inside me. And so it was a moment for me where I didn't ever want to hear anything like that again. And I didn't want to feel the pain. I didn't want her to feel the pain. I was tired of doing these things to my family. It just became enough is enough. And I've lived that since then. I've had enough. And I think that's kind of where it comes down to a lot of individuals is, when is enough enough? And again, that's an individualized process where that breaking point is independent for every person. So yeah, that was a real turning point for me.
Wow, thank you. Brooke, how about you? Can you think of an incident either with yourself or someone else that you saw that happen?
For me, I too just got tired. I had enough. I had two of my three children in my life. And then I found out I was going to become an aunt. And my sister needed me, and I got to build on that relationship and be there for her. And that was enough for me. My children and my family, and taking my responsibilities back, and adding a new baby into something that she was going to need me. It was just enough for me, and I never really looked back after that. And now I've got all three of my boys back in my life, and I'm an aunt to two amazing kiddos, and life is possible after addiction.
That's awesome. Very cool. Well, ladies, is there anything else? Any other high points or any other points that you think we need to talk about what you do when you coach people through recovery?
We are there for every point that they need us. We will never turn away. We do not judge. We know the stories, we know where people are at. We also are getting Narcan out into the community, which is really needed. We are trying to get up Nalox boxes, which holds some Narcan. We're trying to get those up, and we will be doing some events in the future for awareness.
Awesome. All right. Well, hey, thank you so much for being brave. And, my day has been crazy, and I didn't have a chance to look at exactly what we were talking about until just a little bit before today. And just thank you so much for being brave. Yeah.
Of course.
Awesome. Yeah.
Having us.
Yeah. And I'll never forget when, with my own issues, when I finally talked to somebody and they weren't shocked with anything I told them.
I think that's one of the biggest things that, for people to understand is that with my lived experience, there is really not a lot that anybody can say to me that will surprise me. And, that's just the nature of life in that specific instance. I am not easily shocked, and neither is Brooke, and neither is a lot of us in this situation. So, if someone can surprise me, I'll give them some extra kudo points or something. So cookie.
All right. Well, good. And again, the number that they call is on the screen, and I'm sure that you can call that number if you just need hope, regardless of what's going on. And even if it's not related to this specific program, they will get you pointed in the right direction. So,
yes, sir.
Yeah. Thanks, ladies, for being here today, and really appreciate this. And thank you, EO Live, for tuning in on this day. And we will see you next time.